So the president met with a bunch of CEOs of healthcare companies today at the White House. Vice President Pence was there. It was a classic Trump cabinet meeting. That's how it appeared. The media was allowed to stay in for much of it. And the big news coming out of it was that Mike Pence, who's running the president's coronavirus, said, oh, Biden, did you see that the Chi-Com head honcho, Xi Jinping, put on his little blue mask and went to Wuhan? He went to Wuhan. He must have called Bloomberg. And Bloomberg must have said, you got to respond to your constituents. You got to let your constituents know that you care about them. So Xi Jinping puts on a little blue mask, and he goes to a place in Wuhan, and they keep him like many, many yards away from any members of the public. He's got his blue mask on, and he's talking about a great job the Chi-Coms have done. And then he lets it, he doesn't say this himself, he lets it be known how offended they are that people are calling it the Wuhan virus, even though that's what it is. The thing started there. Wuhan, by the way, it's a city of about 11 million people in China, and it's a fairly cosmopolitan place. But it's kind of a big deal for the Chi-Com head honcho to do something like this today. Because they generally don't put themselves anywhere near the public. These are the guys that order the tanks to run over people, such as at Tiananmen Square. But I think that the Chi-Com head honcho, Xi Jinping, he doesn't care about the Chinese people in terms of their opinion of him. It doesn't matter. What he was doing was for the worldwide media. And I'll tell you something, there's something fascinating about that the Chi-Com premier felt the need to do PR for the worldwide media. This is something so strange. This is so unusual for any Chinese president to engage in. We'll unpack this more as the program unfolds before your very eyes and ears today. What Pence announced today at the meeting at the White House, all healthcare companies that were represented at the White House meeting today have agreed to waive all coronavirus-related copays. These are the evil healthcare companies that everybody hates and despises, have agreed to waive all coronavirus-related copays. In addition, there is a drug. There's an antiviral drug that is not part of any of the official testing. It's just shown some success in some patients in similar respiratory cases. And the insurance companies have agreed to compensate for it. They've agreed to pay for the usage and the prescribing of this medicine for certain people. Now, you can sit there. I read a piece today where the drive-by media, I forget where it was. Trump has got to realize, this isn't about him. Coronavirus isn't about him. He doesn't think it's about him. I sit here, like I was talking yesterday, I remain totally perplexed. And I know I ought not be, but I am, at the continual, utter ignorance and lack of understanding that political professionals in Washington have, understanding Donald Trump's support, understanding the people that support him, understand the people that make up his base. They continue to exhibit a degree of arrogant ignorance that's just mind-boggling to me. Donald Trump does not think this is about him. It is in their convoluted minds. They're telling us more about who they are when they engage in this distant analysis of Trump. Like, they're trying to make people believe that Trump doesn't care a whit about you, doesn't care a whit about your family, that all Trump cares about is whether or not his image is going to be hurt because of coronavirus. And so as far as Trump is concerned, the coronavirus is all about him and about his reputation and about his future. And if these people haven't figured out that if there is one politician in America today who actually does care about the American people, it's Donald Trump. And you can see it every day simply from the policies that he tries to implement the policies that he supports, the agenda that he has implemented. He's all about making America great, not about making Trump great. In his mind, he's already great. Doesn't have to get any greater than he is. It isn't about him. Go back and we played a soundbite from Trump's town hall that he had with the Fox News people last week, which is the highest rated town hall Fox has ever had. And he always portrays the truth at some point, even when he is being jocular, even when he's joking. And he said to Brett Baer, I actually think we're saving the country. Saving the country? Well, that obviously is about him. He doesn't need to be saved. Trump's got it made. Trump has made it. The old American vernacular. Doesn't have to save himself. Saving the country is about preserving it for its people. And I remain flabbergasted that Trump's critics from top to bottom and left to right, never Trumpers on our side, rabid leftists on their side, continue to think that Trump's ego is so self-evolved and self-focused that he doesn't care or isn't concerned about anybody else. Look, I can tell you anecdotally, first-hand experience, Donald Trump cares about a lot more than himself. It's just there's a part of me that says they do understand this. They just can't let go of it. They can't let go of this way of criticizing Trump. They can't let go of the idea that they are going to find a way to distance Trump supporters from Trump. They're going to find a way to drive a wedge. And they're going to keep using the same techniques that have failed now for 4+ years and counting. Meanwhile, the vice president again announced today that all healthcare companies represented at the White House today have agreed to waive all coronavirus-related copays, and they're going to pay for this. I'll get the name of this medicine. I can't think of it. Don't misunderstand. It's not a medicine that's been specifically developed. It's something that already exists that has it's been shown to be effective with certain people. Remember, this virus is really zapping the elderly. If you're over 75, you have pre-existing respiratory conditions, that's who's really at risk here. Watching the coverage of this and the ongoing effort to create a panic, and let's make no mistake here that that's exactly what is happening here. I finally came up with what I think is a good analogy. The coronavirus is like a hurricane several days away from making landfall. Take your pick of any hurricane out there in recent memory. If you want to use Katrina, any hurricane, and then remember how the media covers it. It's going to devastate wherever it's headed. It's going to just obliterate. It's a Cat 5. It's going to mean total destruction. No one knows the strength when it hits, despite their predictions. No one knows where it's going to hit. No one knows when. Our forecasts have gotten better, but it's still a gigantic crapshoot, particularly the farther out at sea the hurricane is. But the media knows that it's going to deliver clicks, it's going to deliver hits, it's going to deliver massive headlines, it's going to create massive attention by the public. It will deliver eyeballs, and they know they can blame Trump right up until the moment they can't. They know, and they salivate over the chance to blame Donald Trump. So you've got an oncoming hurricane here. The outer bands have begun to strike the continental United States. The evidence is there. They've got the reporters out on the beaches of the Outer Banks, for example, North Carolina, and they're showing us the waves are about 6 inches higher than usual. See, it's coming. It's coming. There may be a flood here, a flood there. The initial reports of damage are coming in, and it all means it's going to be a grand disaster. The drive-bys are all collected out on the beach. Their cameras are pointed westward, eastward, wherever it takes to get this hurricane, any indication of it whatsoever. The same thing was true of the impeachment hearings. Same exact thing was true of the impeachment. All we had was hearsay evidence. We had endless speculation. The same thing was true with the Russia-Trump collusion story. There was never any evidence. There was never a shred of evidence. And yet, look at what we were told was coming. The walls were closing in on Donald Trump. We had these endless anonymous sources from the intelligence community who were telling us that it was only a matter of time before the evidence would be forthcoming. Hearsay evidence before the impeachment hearings, endless speculation. Same thing with the Mueller report. The coronavirus is one of those moments for the drive-by media. And just as a hurricane is an opportunity to blame people who don't believe in climate change, man-made climate change, just as a hurricane is exaggerated and built up, lied about before anybody knows its true strength and nature in order to advance a political agenda, i.e. climate change, coronavirus is being used to advance the agenda that Donald Trump, A, doesn't care about you. He only cares about himself. B, Donald Trump is incompetent. C, Donald Trump's not taking it seriously enough. D, you might die. It's all going to be Donald Trump's fault. E, it's an opening for the Democrats. It's an opportunity for the Democrats, just like impeachment was an opportunity for the Democrats, the Mueller hearings an opportunity for the Democrats, and a gigantic hurricane is an opportunity for the Democrats and the climate change crowd. So the coronavirus is one of these moments. This is the pattern. This is what drive-by media is. This is the utter definition. You're looking at it here. The problem for them is they have been wrong. Every time during the Trump administration, they have been wrong about every dire prediction they have made. And they have made these predictions with ontological certitude. They've made these predictions with anonymous sources guaranteeing the walls were closing in on Donald Trump, guaranteeing the evidence was forthcoming that Trump colluded with Russia, guaranteeing the evidence was imminently forthcoming that Donald Trump did indeed cheat. Might even be a Russian agent. It never stopped. Even when the evidence never came in, the evidence was never forthcoming, even when the evidence was invisible, they continued to tell us that it was going to be the exact opposite of what it's turned out to be every time. It's always Trump's fault before the facts are known. And when the facts are finally known, and when the media is proven to be dramatically wrong again, they are never held to account. They are never to blame for whatever mess they have made, for whatever drive-by confusion they have created. Even hurricanes are attributed to Trump via the fact that he doesn't believe in man-made climate change. Before there's even a dollar's worth of destruction, it's all Trump's fault. And then when their predictions of doom fail spectacularly, it's off to the next hoped-for incident that will definitely take down Trump. You know, when the impeachment bombed out, remember what I said? Folks, there's 10 months to go. There's going to be something else. There's going to be something else. There's going to be many something else's between now and the election that are going to get the same treatment. And voila, here we are, coronavirus. Mr. Limbaugh, are you saying the coronavirus is not... No, I'm not. Don't attribute things to me that I'm not saying. I'm saying exactly what I mean to say. I love hearing myself say what I say because I'm right. I love being right. You would be too if you knew what it was like. I'm not saying things I'm not saying. Like, I've got a soundbite coming up from Russell Honore. Remember him? Hurricane Katrina, military guy. He got so fed up with the media, so fed up with the way Katrina and that whole thing was being recovered, and he's on a roll again today. He's lashing out at Wall Street. Why the hell do they get to panic? Why the hell didn't Wall Street grow up? Why doesn't Wall Street act like a bunch of adults instead of acting like a bunch of spoiled, rotten kids? Every bit of bad news, Wall Street has to go panic full-fledged. He's exactly right. By the way, speaking of that, the Dow Jones Industrial Average today right now up 360 points. We opened today +8. You know what happened overnight? By the way, how many of you got up today, started listening and paying attention to news, and you heard today what I told you in the first hour of yesterday's program? It's about Russia, it's about oil, it's about Saudi Arabia. You know what Trump did overnight? He called Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. I don't know what Trump talked about with Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. All I know is that the Dow Jones Industrial Average futures market predicted an opening of 800 to 1,000 on the plus side, and that's exactly where it opened. We're now at 311. It's been down as low as +25. It's fluctuating, but it's been positive territory all day today. Let me take a brief time out. I wish I didn't have to, folks, but I have to because the clock says it's an obscene profit break time out. I got to take it. We'll be back. Yeah, there aren't any people in that photo. There are no people. That could be Xi Jinping in an empty ballroom at some fleabag Chinese hotel. There are no people in that photo. There's Xi Jinping, and he's got his Hitler salute going there. Got his military guy wearing a blue mask, and another aide wearing a blue mask, and that's it. And that's the picture that the Chi-Com state-run media put out today. And that is Xi Jinping solidarity with coronavirus sufferers. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a series of Democrat primaries today, Michigan being the big one, and it's going to be the end of it for Crazy Bernie today. And I'll predict why here in just a second. The Democrats are going to be left with somebody they want to be left with, and that's plugs. Now, for the longest time, we have been calling attention to Biden and his, they're called gaffes. I think they're much more serious than gaffes. I think Biden, I don't know how to politely say this. Let me just say what I've said. I think whoever is responsible for making Biden do this and putting him out there really needs to be ashamed of himself. Joe Biden is no more capable of being on the campaign trail than Colonel Sanders right now, and the people behind him know this. He is embarrassing himself now multiple times per appearance. Hang on. No, so I didn't actually see the entire photo. Did you get it yet? All right, put it in the switcher. Because the first picture we showed you was Xi Jinping wearing his blue mask, standing behind a quite a distance from a microphone. And I said, so where are the people? There aren't any people. Look, there's the picture. There's a whole picture. Now, I've had to crop it because it's still bigger than I can use. So I don't have the military guy or his aide. He's talking to a patient on a TV monitor. Do you see this? Well, you can't, if you're not watching on a Ditto Cam, you're not going to see this. You have to put this at rushlimbaugh.com. We'll get the photo up as soon as we can. That is the premier of China, the Chi-Com head honcho, Xi Jinping, wearing a blue mask in a hotel ballroom talking to a patient who's on a TV monitor. The patient is not in the room. This is the photo they put out. This is incredible. Now, this photo is obviously for consumption by worldwide media. Why even wear the mask? Why wear the mask? There's nobody in the room. It's an empty hotel ballroom. He's talking to a patient on a video monitor. There's a camera in the patient's room. Xi Jinping is not in the hospital with... He's in an empty room except for a monitor, a TV monitor. And again, I'm sorry for titillating those of you who do not have the Ditto Cam. You're not members at rushlimbaugh.com. But don't worry, and we'll get this picture flashed over to the website. Well, we don't know where the rumor. That's the point. We have to trust what the Chi-Com state-run media tell us. And you can't trust them any more than you can trust ABC, CBS, NBC, but they're state-controlled media as well. Obama state-controlled media, which takes me back. Okay, you can take that off, Brian. Put me back. Put me back. There we go. This is why people are watching, not to see Xi Jinping. Now, I asked, who is it that's putting plugs out there? Who's doing this? Because, folks, we're just, and I'm serious here, we're just short of cruel and unusual punishment here. Joe Biden is 77 years old, and it's obvious from the many debates that he's done that you want to be polite. He's just not all there. I mean, there are terms we could use. There are medical terms, psychological terms. But somebody's put him out there. Somebody has made him do this. And we know probably who it is in a general sense, and we know why. We know for a fact that the Democrat Party does not want Bernie Sanders to be the nominee. Oh, by the way, did you see that the Reverend Jackson has endorsed Bernie? Did you see that? Now, how's that going to play with James Clyburn in South Carolina? James Clyburn endorsed plugs and put plugs over the top in the South Carolina primary. Now, here comes the Reverend Jackson endorsing Sanders. Now, that tells you everything that you've always known about Jesse Jackson, but you may not have ever wanted to believe it. May not have ever wanted to realize it. You may have believed all this time that the Reverend Jackson is right out of the Martin Luther King Civil Rights Movement. He's not. And he never has been. I've gotten into so many arguments with white leftists who think Jesse Jackson is the modern day incarnation of Dr. King, and nothing could be further from the truth. And it hasn't been since Jesse Jackson ran for the Democrat nomination back in the 80s. It wasn't true. And now endorsing Bernie Sanders, and Bernie is going to crash and burn today in Michigan for one primary reason, and that is that one of the largest blocks of support he's got is not going to show up and vote. Bernie Sanders is killing it in polling data with young voters. Young voters who want their student loans forgiven, who don't want to have to pay for anything, want their tuition to be paid for, who want free weed, businesses, but they don't go vote. It's the most amazing thing. You know, every election, the drive-by media points to the young vote, the millennial vote, the 18 to 24, 18 to 30-year-old vote, and they say, this is the difference this year. This vote's going to put the Democrats, and they never go vote. The young just don't turn out. There's nothing new about it, and it isn't going to change. It hasn't changed, didn't change in 2016. It's not going to change for crazy Bernie tonight in Michigan. Why? Well, you can debate it all you want. Why do the young not vote? Because they just don't vote. There could be another reason why they're not going to turn out. They're not going to turn out and vote because they don't need crazy Bernie. The economy is humming along pretty well. Young people have employment options, those that want to work. We don't know how many it is. You know, talking about this age group, it takes a while for some of them to mature. But Bernie, we've got sound bites of him, too. He had a Fox News town hall last night. He got totally humiliated, embarrassed, talking about Denmark and Sweden and the United States. It's clear that the Democrats do not have anybody that you could put Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden in one body and you still wouldn't have a complete brain. If you combine both those people, you would not have a complete brain. Joe Biden is being pushed out front, and we all know who's doing it. The Democrat establishment is doing it. The Democrat establishment has somehow convinced him to do this or have made him do it, whatever. Because everybody knows that if he were to somehow be elected, he's not going to be president. He can't. He's not qualified for. Nobody's going to admit this, but this is a bunch of people behind the scenes who are salivating at the opportunity to have power that nobody knows they've got. To wield power that nobody will see them wield. Biden will be the vessel. He'll be the figurehead, so to speak. But there is some indication who's behind this, because Plugs has begun announcing his cabinet. He's been announcing his potential cabinet choices. Can I give you some names here? If you want to find out who it is, and if I'm serious, if I'm Joe Biden, I've got to be looking at these people pushing me and thinking they really can't be my friends. My friends would not be doing this to me. My friends would not be. Because we have to assume that Plugs has moments where he knows what's going on. He has fleeting moments of awareness, situational awareness. And in those fleeting moments, he knows what he's no longer capable of. And he knows what his problems are. His memory is not there. His situational recall is not there. And in those moments, he's got to be asking himself, why are these people doing this to me? Now, they're telling him, because we love you, Joe. We love you, and we want to reward you. You have been a great war horse. You've been loyal to Obama. You've done great things other than Clarence Thomas, so we can look the other way at that. It's your time, Joe. But these are the most selfish bunch of Democrats. They're using this poor guy. They're throwing him out there. They're allowing him to humiliate himself. They're allowing him to be humiliated. They're allowing him to embarrass himself. They're allowing him to embarrass himself and be embarrassed. And they're doing all of this for themselves. These are the people with all the compassion, the American left, the big Democrat Party, loving people, caring about people, and they are willing to let Joe Biden totally humiliate and embarrass himself in the off chance that he could get elected and that they would be back in power without having to run and compete for it. There are a bunch of people who want to be president, co-president, partial president, could never get elected, couldn't get out of a primary. They're using Biden to get themselves there. And I think this is coming from the overall head office of Obama, Inc., because if you look at the people Plugs is talking about putting in his cabinet, possible cabinet members are John Kerry, really, Susan Rice, Michael Bloomberg, Elizabeth Warren, Jamie Dimon, J.P. Morgan Chase, and Sally Yates. Sally Yates, are you kidding me? You know who Sally Yates is? Sally Yates was the holdover Obama Deputy Attorney General, Department of Justice, when Trump was inaugurated, and she was the Obama holdover who failed to implement Trump's first travel ban, and she became a heroine of the American left and MSNBC. And to have her as a possible cabinet member is a signal to the MSNBC and CNN audience of radical leftists. Because I doubt that Joe Biden knows who she is. He might, but if he more than likely has forgotten her, she was a minor player in the Obama DOJ. You're going to have people like Anita Dunn. I mean, this potential list of names for a Biden cabinet is Obama, Inc. It's not Hillary. This is not Hillary. This is what's fascinating. Hillary's got nothing to do with this. At least outwardly, no Hillary Clinton fingerprints on the Biden campaign. But there's no way. Here's the thing that they've done. I don't know how this guy's going to last. The only way Biden can last is if the media literally ignores every gaffe and every screw-up this guy makes from now till November. They could do it, but some of these screw-ups are going to be made with Trump on stage. Some of these screw-ups are going to be made where they're not going to be possible to ignore. Joe Biden visited an auto plant in Michigan. He threatened to slap a worker. He called somebody who asked him about gun control. He told this worker, this potential voter, you're full of crap, only he didn't say crap. He called the voter a horse's ass. When a female staffer tried to move in and get him to calm down, he shushed her up. He could not explain how the Green New Deal isn't going to kill. He didn't even know what the Green New Deal is. Green New Deal. That's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The Joe Biden of 20 years ago, there's no way the Green New Deal would never, ever be something he would support. No rational Democrat of 20 years ago would. They wouldn't have had the guts to go for it. This is an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez thing, and yet here's Biden supporting the Green New Deal. He doesn't even know what he's doing. Well, we got audio from this coming up, and for Crazy Bernie, too. But it's amazing. The Democrat Party is all in on Biden, and it's obvious why. He's a vessel. He's a bridge for a bunch of invisible Wizards of Oz behind the curtain to be able to wield power. All he's got to do is somehow win. But they don't expect that to happen, I guarantee you. Anyway, I'm a little long here, folks. A brief timeout. I promise we'll come back and get started on the phone. Limbaugh behind the golden EIB microphone. This is Paul in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And it's great to have you, Paul. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you, Rush?
I'm good. I'm actually very good.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that, sir. I'll get right to what I wanted to say. I'm a voter here in Michigan, and we have an open primary. And I'm wondering who I should vote for as a Republican. Should I try to vote in the Democrat primary for either Bernie or Biden, or should I just vote Trump?
Well, at this late stage, I don't know if it's open. You can go in and vote. You don't have to change your registration. Like if you want to vote Democrat, you can go in and do that today. It's open.
That's correct, sir.
Well, you know what? One of the fascinating things that's been happening here during the, and it's not been talked about at all, other than the Trump people are putting it out. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump's uncontested. Mm-hmm. He's uncontested. There's nobody running against him. And so there's no reason for people like you to even go vote for him in these primaries because there's no way he can't win. Do you know what's happening? Donald Trump is getting more votes in all of these Super Tuesday states. In the states, he's getting more votes than the Democrats combined. The turnout for Trump, in other words, is higher than it is for the Democrats. And the media keeps telling us that Trump is despised and hated and that the energy on the Democrat side is higher than it's ever been. And there is so much enthusiasm to go get rid of Trump. They can't wait. They can't wait. And yet Trump, unopposed, is smoking these guys. So you're I think, answered your question. Do you want to add to Trump's record here of having a very high turnout, even though he's unopposed, or do you want to have fun on the Democrat side and try to screw him up?
Yes, sir. That's the question.
Yeah. Well, let's. You could vote for Biden or Bernie, or you could vote. Is Tulsi Gabbard still on the ballot? Remember these people?
I think she is.
Yeah. She's really getting a royal screw job too. I mean, look at the things they do to get Bloomberg on the debate stage, and look at the things they're doing to keep her off of it. And that is Hillary Clinton. I think. Which would you have more fun doing? Voting for Trump or voting for Bernie Sanders or Biden today?
I think I'd have a lot of fun voting in the Democrat primary, just kind of messing it up.
Okay, well, then your question is, because here's what I would do. If you don't want the Democrat primary to end, if you think it should go on for the sheer fun of it, then you got to vote Bernie.
Okay.
You got to vote Bernie.
Yeah.
All right? That's what I would suggest you do. If you're a Republican and you want this comedy show, this horror show, this whatever it is in the Democrats, if you want it prolonged and you're in Michigan today and it's an open primary, then vote Bernie. You heard it here first. It's a late breaking Operation Chaos piece of advice, but that's what I would do. You'll have fun doing it. U.S. Kevin McCarthy said something last night, and it bears repeating because Trump himself has tried to make this point, remind everybody. It was back in December that Trump was already on target and dealing with this virus out of China. That is when he shut down China flights. All the way back in December and certainly into January. Trump then offered to send some of our scientists and doctors to Wuhan to help out, and the Chi-Coms refused. He went to the House to inform them of this threat and what was coming. Now, when you may not remember much of this because the way the media treated this, the Democrats did nothing about it. They said Trump was grandstanding. They said that the media tried to run the game, that this is Trump's xenophobia, this is Trump's racism, this is Trump trying to make an end run around closing the borders by hyping some stupid fear. The Democrats did nothing. They didn't listen. They made fun of Trump for canceling travel. Just like they did when he announced the first travel ban shortly after being inaugurated. Today, do you know what they did? Today, the House passed a Second Amendment. The Democrat Party does tell its voters, you're full of shit. They do that all the time, but they do not come out in favor of the Second Amendment. Now, Plugs has come out in favor of 20 gauges, 12 gauges. His sons hunt in Ukraine. What do they hunt in Ukraine? What do your sons hunt in China? Plugs. But see, it doesn't take anything to rattle a guy. So he tells a Democrat voter, you're full of shit. A handler moves in and tries to say, okay, let's move on. And Plugs, shush, get away from me. I'm not through talking to the guy. Don't be a horse's ass. An AR is a machine gun. I'm not working for you, he says to the handler. I'm not working for you. They can't control the guy. He's, well, like I say, folks, this is cruel and unusual punishment that these people are doing. And I'll tell you, just again to reiterate why. Here are their choices. If you got Crazy Bernie, if he gets the nomination, two things happen. So the nominee becomes the titular head of the party, folks. The nominee then writes the party platform for the convention. They can't permit this. I think something that's not been adequately explained by the media is Bernie Sanders has a, let's just say, very healthy distaste for the Democrat Party establishment. He knows what they've done to him. He knows they rigged it against him in 2016, and he knows that they're trying to this time. And if Bernie Sanders were to prevail and win the nomination, he would start clearing house immediately. There wouldn't be people like Susan Rice and John Kerry hanging around. They'd be gone. They would be replaced by whoever Bernie wants and thinks is loyal to him in whatever these positions of power in the party structure are. They can't afford this. I'm telling you, the Obama-Hillary axis, the Democrat cannot afford for anybody but them to stay in charge of the party. That's what Plugs' purpose is. Plugs' purpose is to make sure Bernie doesn't win. These people then will maintain control of the party. They'll write the party platform. They know full well that Plugs is going to lose. They know Plugs can't win. They know that Joe Biden cannot beat Donald Trump. They know that Hillary Clinton can't. They are worried that Crazy Bernie would lose in the biggest landslide in history and take every Democrat down the ballot with him. But what they're primarily worried about, and you look at this as human nature, you can't really blame them in one sense. They're worried about themselves. They're worried about their positions of standing in the Democrat Party. They've devoted their lives to acquiring these positions of power and status for what it does for them, the future that it sets up for their kids and grandkids. And they're not going to let this lunatic, Bernie Sanders, take it away from them, no matter what. They quickly figured out that Buttigieg had no prayer winning. They figured out Klobuchar had no chance of winning. They didn't. Elizabeth Warren, they didn't even want to deal with her. They didn't even want to try to hold on to their positions. They had no chance of winning. Tulsi Gabbard, ditto. They didn't want any part of it. So they put things into gear. They got South Carolina in gear with Clyburn. They got Biden, the big winner there. And then the establishment of the Democrat Party got into full-fledged gear on Super Tuesday and made sure that Joe Biden became the presumptive nominee. And it's all about holding on to what they have. And their big challenge is going to be going forward. How do they keep Biden off the campaign trail? Look, they had to do the same thing with Hillary in 2016. Nobody talks about it this way, but you couldn't find Hillary on the campaign trail in 2016, could you? Now, in Hillary's case, it's because she couldn't stand up half the time. Well, look, you sit there and laugh. I know I'm a naturally funny guy. Very few people are. But they had their own troubles with her. She couldn't stand up. She couldn't get on or off a bus. She had all kinds of problems. She wasn't drawing flies to crowds anyway. They were banking on the fact that the Clinton magic and Democrat Party history was going to win all of these Rust Belt states, and Trump blew all that up. Let me take a brief break. We will continue more phone calls from you waiting on the other side. Don't quit us, Gordon. You're next, sir. Hello.
Hey, Rush. It's a true honor to speak to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Great to have you here, too.
Hey, it's a real travesty what the media has done with this coronavirus, I feel, because, it's one thing to stand in the wind and rain on a coast and affect a city or two and maybe, a couple 100,000 or 1 million people. But now we've got a whole continent that's freaking out over this. And what happens when there really is something to be concerned about? What are we going to do then? And we're going to just thumb our nose at them and say,
let me ask you, why do you think the coronavirus is not something maybe to be concerned about?
Well, it's speaking to everyone. I've done some research online. Obviously, people say, online this, online that. But, I've been around. I traveled to Mexico last week. It's my birthday next week. My wife took me to Mexico. We didn't have any problem. We came back. We're fine. And I'm not seeing this. I don't think this is much more than the flu. I've seen numbers that kind of correlated to the flu numbers and how many people get sick and die of it each year. Sure, it's something to worry about. You wash your hands and you carry on. But, there's people fighting over toilet paper and other things at the grocery stores. It's just blown way out of proportion in my opinion. I just wonder what's going to happen when there really is something of great concern to be really worried about.
Well, that's a valid concern. But I think your question is well taken. The media has made it look like this is it. That precisely because people are fighting over toilet paper and paying $100 a roll to get some. This is clearly. Have you seen any medical people say anything that would warrant the degree of fear or panic that you see out there?
Other than those that are put out in front of the mainstream media, no.
That's my point.
That they bring forward, yeah, nobody.
We haven't seen the CDC say things or the NIH. These are all people now that are part of the Trump task force. And let me tell you something about this. And I may get in some trouble for this. I'm not going to name any names, but there's a lot of people in this Trump task force who despise him. They are holdovers from previous administrations, from many, many administrations ago. There are some of these people that I am convinced that think Trump is a buffoon. Now, hang on a minute. Either Republican or Democrat. Now, those people could be, if they wanted to, they could be going to the media like the intel community did during Trump-Russia collusion. They could be leaking all kinds of stuff. They could be leaking that this virus is going to wipe out half the population. They could be leaking anything they wanted. If they really wanted to destroy Donald Trump, they could do it. Now, I don't know. I didn't state that. If they wanted to cause real havoc here, they could do it. They have a receptive media. They have a media hoping and praying that somebody's going to leak stuff like them to this about this virus. And the point is, it isn't happening. The people in the health community who are in a position to know are not feeding the media the information necessary to create the panic that the media desperately wants people to feel. And yet the opportunity is there. I'm bouncing off our last caller because he says, what happens when there is something really, really bad? I mean, once this thing runs its course and people realize it wasn't anywhere near as bad as the media said, and at some point are we going to create a bunch of people in the country not going to listen to the media anymore? I don't know about that. I'm just telling you that the media is doing what it can right now to create. Look at the headlines on Drudge. Now, the headlines on Drudge are nothing more than headlines in the news. You can sit there and complain about Drudge all you want, but it misses the point. I have not done it on purpose because it's just, it's one, the end of the human race story after another. Country by country, the end of the human race. That's what's in the media. Those are the headlines. It is clear that there are objectives that the media is attempting to achieve here with this. We all know why. The effort is in part aimed at getting rid of Donald Trump. They can't help themselves. No matter what the news story is, it's going to be tailored, flavored, flaked, and formed, and aimed at Trump in a way that's supposed to hurt him. My point to you is that the people who could be providing that kind of information are the ones not doing it. So my point to you is that the people in a position to know are not literally responsible for the hysteria that is there in the media. So you say, well, who is? I don't know, anonymous sources, all it doesn't take much. But here, grab soundbite, I'll give you an example. Grab soundbite number 24. This is the esteemed governor of New York. This is the brother of Fredo. This is Andrew Cuomo this afternoon in Albany talking about his plan for containment of the coronavirus.
We're also going to use the National Guard in the containment area to deliver food to homes, to help with the cleaning of public spaces. Some opinions are the virus can live on a hard surface such as stainless steel or plastic for 2 days or more. If that's the case, that would be a significant issue as to why it is transmitting the way it does. So cleaning those surfaces is very important, cleaning it with the right material, and the National Guard will be helpful on that.
All right, so the governor of New York has declared a 1-mile containment area in New Rochelle. That's what the announcement was about. We have a 1-mile containment area. Now, if this were a Republican governor, they'd be out there calling this martial law. Calling out the National Guard? Calling out the National... This is the kind of stuff that's spreading rumors. He's not a health official. He's the governor. But you have stories like this that feed into, he is a Democrat, doesn't like Trump. I mean, we know the score here. And my point is that all of this is way overblown. There is a justification for a certain level of concern. Well, yeah, you could say he's got a containment area. He's just closed the borders of New Rochelle, and he's got the National Guard going in there to distribute food and clean surfaces. So if you violate the containment area, I wonder. I'm sure it does not apply to illegal aliens. I'm sure illegal aliens can come and go. New Rochelle, whatever they want to do. What? They're not stopped anywhere else. Why would this stop them? See how this works? Oh, you can have a sanctuary city. You can have a sanctuary state where you welcome in all kinds of people to break the law. But now we got the coronavirus, and now we're going to put a containment area around New Rochelle. They're got to have some illegal aliens living there. What if they want to leave? Are they going to be allowed to leave because they're allowed to come and go as they want? It's a sanctuary state, so illegal aliens have kind of free reign, come and go. My point is, this is the kind of stuff, but he's not a health official. He's not with the NIH. He's not with Johns Hopkins. He's not with the Health and Human Services or the National Institutes for Health saying all this. This is the governor. He's a politician. My only point, folks, if you go back to the history of the Trump administration, the Trump presidency, and we've had all kinds of anonymous sources from within the Trump White House, from the West Wing, the Oval Office. They've been writing anonymous pieces about how dangerous Trump is and how we got adults in there. We're looking out for things. Everything's okay. We're going to be protected because Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He's very dangerous. None of that is what's happening here. You got a bunch of NIH people in there and a bunch of CDC people in there, and they could be going to town against Trump if they wanted to. Am I making myself clear here? This is a roundabout way of saying that it probably isn't wise to panic yet, because the people who would really know if it's time to panic would be saying so. And if they really wanted to create a panic to go get Trump or whatever, then they could easily do it. And so far, it looks like Trump and Pence's efforts to keep a lid on this and to keep a semblance of normalcy and non-panic about it are working within that universe. Now, I have another observation that I want to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, because I've got a story here. Don Serber writes columns. I've quoted from Don Serber on numerous occasions over the course of the history of this program. And his headline, "Never Trump," pins its hopes on the coronavirus. And that's exactly right. The Never Trumpers. Now, his piece is about Judd Gregg, a former Republican senator from New Hampshire, who happens to be a Never Trumper. Now, there are some other famous Never Trumpers out there. Let me name one. Bill Kristol, who used to sell cruises to conservatives after Republicans lost elections. You were supposed to sign up and go on these conservative cruises and listen to all these conservative intellectuals tell you why it wasn't so bad. Yeah, we may have lost. Yeah, it may not have been good, but just invest in us. Keep subscribing to our magazine and keep going on our cruises, and we're going to keep making sure the conservative message reaches the right people, and we're going to eventually win. Well, now guess what? Now we got a guy implementing everything they've believed in, and they've abandoned him, and they've now joined the Democrat Party. Bill Kristol has endorsed Biden. A bunch of Never Trumpers have become Democrats proudly. They're saying so, and they're voting for and announced they're going to vote for Biden. Now, what is their one complaint about Trump? His lack of civility, right? Trump is embarrassing us. Trump has no demeanor. He's crude. He's rude. He's ill-spoken, he's ill-mannered, he's not sophisticated. So who have they endorsed? A guy out there telling his voters, you're full of shit. Donald Trump has never said to one voter of either party, you're full of shit. It hadn't happened. They have endorsed Joe Biden, who's out there telling voters, you're full of shit, or other insults that he has aimed at them. What was the one about, you're so ugly, you're a pony soldier, don't bother me with that complaint. Whoever that was about. I'm not kidding. These august never-Trumpers who claim to be the epitomes of virtue, who claim to have the exclusive hold on sophistication, claim they can't support Donald Trump because he's crude and mean-spirited and unsophisticated and all of this, have endorsed this loudmouth bully by the name of Joe Biden. How do these people even show their faces in public? Biden says to a voter, you're full of shit and you're a horse's ass. Then his handlers move in, try to get him to calm down, and he refuses to calm down. Then he starts talking about AR-14s. There's no such thing as an AR-14. He probably meant AR-15, which is the country's most popular rifle. He said, you don't have the right to own an AR-14. You don't know what you're talking about. I go hunting. My sons go hunting. We bag all kinds of game, but you don't know what you're talking about. You're full of shit. I have a shotgun. I got a 20 gauge. Biden jabbed his finger in the man's face. Don't tell me that, pal. I have to go outside with you. And this is who the never-Trumpers have signed up for. This is who the never-Trumpers have endorsed and signed on to. You have to love it. Judd Gregg, Bill Kristol, all these others that just can't stand Donald Trump because he's so crude. He's so embarrassing, his lack of civility. And the fact that they are now signed up and officially endorsing Biden is just one of the greatest crack-ups of the... Why was the stock market was going to be up? The stock market going down 1,200 points, 2,000 points yesterday. That just threw gasoline on the panic. And it was not even related to the coronavirus. The vast majority of the stock market yesterday was oil, Saudi Arabia, Russia. But I have a sense that I have a sense they're on the way down. And here's another reason why. You know, some of these leftists, you can count on them to go overboard. So we've got the coronavirus, and now there are cancellations of conventions and gigantic meetings of people congregating in one place. And one such convention or meeting is South by Southwest. The mayor of Austin, Texas, announced the cancellation of South by Southwest last week. Oh, yeah, it's too dangerous. People coming from all over the world. We can't stand it. We can't take the chance. And guess what now? Because he did that, nobody in Austin, Texas is going outside to do anything. So the mayor of Austin, Texas, is now begging people to leave their homes. It's okay to go out in public. This is after he canceled the South by Southwest Festival. And so now this guy, thinking that he's doing the politically correct thing and he's going to be given all kinds of accolades because he's got coronavirus out there, South by Southwest is coming. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be courageous. I'm going to announce the cancellation of my big event. And he did. And now people in Austin are afraid to go anywhere. They're not leaving their homes. And now the guy's begging people to go outside. He's begging people to patronize local businesses. His name is Steve Adler. And he's issued a plea for people that live in Austin to go out and physically patronize area merchants and businesses and artists in order to help alleviate some of the pain that will be caused by the cancellation of South by Southwest. Now, if it's okay for residents of Austin to go out there and patronize artists and poets and composers and filmmakers and whatever else, then why did South by Southwest have to be canceled? See, these questions lead to each. Well, Mr. Limbaugh, South by Southwest, thousands of people would have been coming in from outside the city. It would have been too great a risk. Well, it doesn't matter. People are people, wherever they come from. If they live in Austin, they go outside, it's the same thing as if thousands of people come to Austin and people go out. So what? So he set in motion a massive economic conundrum for the city of Austin by trying to be politically correct and cancel South by Southwest. But now he's having to urge people, forget my cancellation of the big convention. You still should feel safe and free to go outside and mingle. 5 standing by, but grab some at number 13. This is the governor of California. His name is Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, former mayor of San Francisco, has been one of those Democrats leading the pack in attempting to laugh at or make fun of or otherwise impugn Donald Trump. From the first day Trump was elected all the way through the transition and the inauguration to the present, Gavin Newsom has laughed at, has made fun of, has openly taunted Trump in terms of his intelligence and his qualifications. He's been very arrogant about it, and it's been typical of a California liberal, been typical of a Hollywood, Silicon Valley liberal, and the way they almost are programmed and must react to Donald Trump. Then this happens. Then the coronavirus happens. And now all of a sudden everything changes. Now you need the guy in Washington. Now all of a sudden the guy in Washington matters. The way the guy in Washington operates matters. You have to be governor of a state which is the closest border we have to China. There is mass travel between China and California. The potential for coronavirus infections and spread in California is serious. And so now it's time for the reality to set in. So a couple of days ago in Oakland, California, Governor Newsom had a press conference and talked about his phone call with President Trump about the coronavirus outbreak.
He said, we're going to do the right thing, and you have my support, all of our support, logistically and otherwise. He said everything that I could have hoped for, and we had a very long conversation, and every single thing he said, they followed through on. Every single thing, his administration, and it starts at the top, including the vice president, has been consistent with the expectation that we repatriate these passengers, and we do it in a way that does justice to the spirit that defines the best of our country and the state of California.
Now, okay, so that's reality. You know, this is not the fun and games of pin the tail on the donkey with Trump being the donkey. This is serious. And, of course, it only makes sense. Donald Trump is a competent businessman. He's a competent crisis manager. That's been his whole life. Donald Trump has had to follow through on everything that he said he was going to do. A lot of people over his life have depended on him. A lot of people have been paid by him. A lot of people have been, out of necessity, dependent on him following through on things he said he was going to do. One way or the other, he has a lifetime track record of following through on these things. Other people think he's got a lifetime track record. It's not so stellar, but the point is, the facts are the facts. So here comes the governor of California with an opportunity to say to his constituents, to the people of California, yeah, I had a call with Trump, and man, what a dunce. Oh, my God, are we in trouble? This guy doesn't know what he's doing. This guy told me things that are not possible. He lied through his teeth. All he cared about was how it was looking for him. Gavin Newsom could have said any of this. And he could have forced Trump to go out. So this wasn't what we talked about. But he could have curried tremendous favor with California Democrats. He could have been the star of MSNBC. He could have been the king of CNN. He could have been the most sought-after guest for late-night so-called comedy shows. All he would have had to have said was, man, are we in trouble? I talked to this guy for a half an hour, and he didn't even know what coronavirus was. He thought we were talking about the beer, and he doesn't drink beer, so he said he wasn't worried about it. He could have said anything he wanted. He could have continued to lie about Trump like he's been lying about Trump. This is my point. In order to curry political favor with the nutcases on his side of the aisle, the late-night comedy people, the CNN and MSNBC hosts, the New York Times writers and editorial board, Gavin Newsom could have been a hero. All he would have had to have done was say, yeah, we are in trouble. This guy hasn't the slightest idea what to do. This guy doesn't know coronavirus from flu virus. He doesn't know diddly squat. The only thing this guy cared about was how he was doing, how it was looking for him. What could he do to make it look better for him? How serious was it? He was asking me for help. He could have done that. That's what Democrats do. He could have done that. What did he do? Play the soundbite again. Audio soundbite number 13, 3, 2, 1.
He said, we're going to do the right thing, and you have my support, all of our support, logistically and otherwise. He said everything that I could have hoped for. And we had a very long conversation, and every single thing he said, they followed through on. Every single thing his administration, and it starts at the top, including the vice president, has been consistent with the expectation that we repatriate these passengers, and we do it in a way that does justice to the spirit that defines the best of our country and the state of California.
Now, look at that. Let's break it down. He said, we're going to do the right thing. You have my support, all of our support, logistically and otherwise. He said everything I could have hoped for. We had a long conversation. Every single thing he said, they followed through on. Now, some of you cynics might be, oh, my God, Trump caved. He's talking to some leftist liberal governor, and this guy's asking for the moon, and Trump gave it. No, that's not the way to interpret this. Trump is not the guy that had to make any moves here. Trump didn't have to change who he is. Gavin Newsom had to totally change his tune about Donald Trump, and he did. Now, folks, the point that I'm making here is that all of this crap that we've been hearing from Democrats and media about Trump for 4 years is just that. It is pure crap. They have known for 4 years that Trump is not the buffoon that he is. They've known for 4 years he didn't collude with Russia. They've known for 4 years he didn't do anything impeachable. They've known for 4 years and 3 years and however many years that he has not broken any law. They've known it all, and yet they did all of that to try to get rid of him. But now when the pedal hits the metal, when the rubber hits the road, whatever, and Gavin Newsom has an opportunity to keep the ball rolling, what did he do? Well, because this is serious, he had to give Trump his props. Now, do you think Gavin Newsom might be trouble in California for this? You think Californians might call him a sellout? You think the late-night comedians might say, we're never going to have this guy on? This guy just sold out. This guy just made Trump look like a great guy. Do you think CNN, MSNBC are going to never want Gavin Newsom back on? Do you think in 3 weeks when the coronavirus is over that Gavin Newsom will revert and go back to calling Trump a buffoon and an idiot? Yes, yes, yes. You think Gavin Newsom, when this all goes, when it passes, that's when we'll hear, I didn't really have comment on this Trump guy. Danger. We get close to the campaign. Trump buffoon. Trump this. Think he'll do that? Again, my point. They know that they're lying about Trump. They've known it for 4 years. They know exactly who they're dealing with. This is, and by the way, here's the soundbite I was going to play before the Gavin Newsom bite. My memory was jogged. So, plugs Biden's out in Detroit, and he tells a voter, "You're full of shit, man. I got an AR-14, I got 12 gauge, I got 20 gauge, I have my son's hunt." Sons? Is there another we don't know about? My son's hunt. And handler moves in, tries to get plugs to dial it back. Plugs won't dial it back. Never Trumpers claim that they got to go for Biden because Trump's too uncivil and all that. Debbie Dingell on the Fox News channel was asked about Biden. She said, the question was, Biden got heated with a voter today over guns. He told a man he was full of Use some saltier language. How do you explain this, Debbie Dingell?
We're all human, and I think he had a human moment. I think that the vice president respects the right of people to own guns, but he also knows that there are people that shouldn't have guns, and he's working to protect the rights of those that should and keep guns out of the hands of those that shouldn't. And it was a human moment that you saw today.
Oh, so that's it. So when a Democrat tells a voter, "You're full of shit, man," that's a human moment. No, I didn't say it. I'm stopping myself each and every time. I have not said it, Mr. Snerdley. Snerdley's in there laughing like I'm saying it every time. I'm going to go, nope, nope, nope. Let me do it again. Let me demonstrate. Full of You stop it at just the right time. You don't pronounce the T, and you can get away with it. Look, I'm an instinctively talented, highly trained broadcast specialist. I know what I'm doing with words. But it's a human moment. It's a human. Everybody has these moments. If it's just being human. Well, if that's what this is, we better be prepared for a potload of human moments because they're never going to end. Now, we talked about Elon Musk yesterday. My little tech blogger buddies, they think Musk is God. They think he's the smartest guy ever. And then he went and disappointed them when he said that the panic over the coronavirus was dumb and stupid, and he wish it wasn't happening. And they, of course, the tech bloggers are panicked all because they're journalists. So they're going to be solidarity with other journalists. But they love Musk. And these are the people. I'm not exaggerating. These are these little twerps are the people who literally believe climate change is destroying Earth and the habitat here, and that the only hope they have of living to the age of 65 is if we colonize Mars. I am not making this up. It's not all of them, but there's enough of them that I read that I've picked up on. They really think this is possible. How stupid do you have to be to look at paradise, which is the planet Earth? You look at any other planet in our solar system, and there is no life anywhere. It is impossible for life to be, life as we know it anyway. And yet, here you are in the middle of paradise, especially if you're in the United States of America. You're in the Garden of Eden on Earth, and you think that you are in a sewer, and the only hope you have is colonizing a planet 2 years away that you will not survive longer than 5 days on. It's amazing to me how manipulable these young minds have been, all because of the climate change movement. You live in the United States. You live in the primo location of the universe. You live in the best place possible for a human being to live. You are on planet Earth and you are in the United States of America. And somehow you have been led to believe that your life will not extend on this earth past the age of 65. And so you have to colonize a planet that is at its nearest 2 years away. that does not have any life support systems at all. There isn't an Apple store on Mars, and there's not going to be. There aren't any Foxconn factories manufacturing iPhones on Mars. There's no Starbucks on Mars. And yet these little tech bloggers, and they're not alone, believe that colonizing Mars, colonizing the moon, colonizing an asteroid is our only hope. And apparently Elon Musk was of the same mindset. An exhausted, looks as a Bloomberg story, an exhausted-looking Elon Musk said yesterday that he is unsure his rocket company, SpaceX, will accomplish its foundational mission, getting to Mars, before he dies. If we don't improve our pace of progress, I'm definitely going to be dead before we go to Mars, Musk said at the Satellite 2020 conference in Washington. If it's taken us 18 years just to get ready to do the first people to orbit, we got to improve our rate of innovation, or based on past trends, I'm definitely going to be dead before we get to Mars. Elon, I could have told you that before you spent a dime studying it. Why? I could have told you, Elon, the chance of you getting to Mars and colonizing, hell, forget colonizing. The chance of you getting to Mars before you die, zilch, zero, nada. And I could have saved you however many hundreds of millions you have spent doing it. This is the advantage I have in being the mayor of Realville. Now, wait a second. Don't throw Kennedy at me. Snurdly saying, where would we have been if Kennedy had your attitude back in 19... Wait a minute. We're not talking about colonizing the friggin' moon. We're not talking about packing up populations and moving there. We're talking about landing somebody and bringing them back. It's a big difference. And there still isn't any Space Colony X on Moon, not that we know about. I know some of you, well, Rush, but we need the dreamers. We need people dreaming of, yeah, we do, but we need dreamers that are governed by reality, because there's a lot of money at stake here. Colonizing Mars? There's no need to. We're not going to lose our habitat. We're not going to lose life support system. We live in the Garden of Eden here. We live in paradise compared to the rock-strewn surface of Mars or the moon or wherever. This is what gets me. How do you look at everything around you here and see... No. How do you look and see what you see here and then look at Mars and see prosperity and happiness and whatever else when there's nothing there? But Rush, we need the dreamers. We need to dream all you want and go for it. But temper it with a little realism. It's fine to want to go to Mars. It's wonderful to want to go to Mars, but don't tell people we have no hope but then to go to Mars. Here's Stan. Stan, Bloomington, Illinois. Great to have you on the EIB network, Stan. I appreciate your patience. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Been a fan for almost 3 decades.
Thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
To the point, if the Democrats are willing to spend $8 billion because of 26 deaths and because of a potential threat, why wouldn't they be willing to spend $8 billion on a border wall? For the very same reason.
Well, now you can answer that question. You know you've got the answer to that question. I've got the answer to the question.
Well, it's all a matter of giving Trump a win or making Trump look bad.
Well, it goes beyond that, but I get your point. It's not. It goes beyond making Trump look good or bad.
I'm all ears.
Yes, of course, lawyers, but it's actually a well-phrased question. I want you to keep.
Sir.
I need to keep. No, I appreciate it. I need to keep that up there on the board, though. Don't take that off, because I'm going to answer this. $8 billion on 26 deaths, and yet we will not spend a fraction of that on a wall. Why not? I mean, the question practically answers itself. And the potential for more in the coronavirus, then why not spend billions on the wall? Because the wall is to protect the country. It's to keep illegal aliens out. It's to preserve the culture and to keep illnesses out. So why this mad dash to spend all this money and now they want to suspend flights from China and all this kind of stuff? It's very simple, folks. And you know the answer to the question. And it's not just something related to Trump, although Trump is a factor because the wall is a factor. The question, illegal immigration. Look, we have new people tuning into this program every hour of every day for a host of reasons. And so often I have to go back and repeat things that many of you have heard me say a lot of times over the course of the many years you've been listening. So for those of you who are new to the program, and we try to get you up to speed as quickly as possible. We try to get you in context, as it were. And that is, you need to understand some of the basic things I believe in order to then understand various aspects of my analysis of news events and stories as they occur. The Democrat Party needs a permanent underclass, economic underclass. They need a permanent segment of the population in economic need. As people improve their economic circumstances and move up the income ladder and go from, say, poor to lower class to lower middle and then middle class, maybe upper class, as people improve them, which happens for the most part with age. As you get older, you learn more, you're capable of earning more, you take on more responsibility, you have more experience, all that. So you do better as you get older. And you become less dependent as you become more economically self-reliant. That's not good for Democrats. Democrats they can't win without a significant portion of the population unable to help itself. They need a permanent economic underclass. Illegal immigration is the pipeline to maintain a permanent underclass. The people in it may change, but they need a certain percentage of the American population in poverty, in need, in dependence of government for their own survival. If the Democrats don't have that, then they can't make a play for the expansion of government and welfare here, free education there, free welfare over here, free college tuition. The more people economically viable, the more Americans who are economically self-sufficient, the more wealthy the American people are, the worse it is for the political fortunes of the Democrat Party. Now, this may offend some of you tuning in for the first time, but do not doubt me on this, because it is an undeniable truth of life. The Democrat Party cannot survive without a constant, permanent underclass. Illegal immigration, i.e. open borders, a way for illegal immigrants to get into the country. By definition, they're not going to be self-reliant. That's why they're coming here. Most of them not even going to speak English. They're going to need health care. They're going to need a job. They're going to need the government doing things for them. That's made to order. That is the Democrat Party primary constituency, people that can't help themselves. That's why they don't want Trump building a wall. Another reason they don't want Trump building a wall is that this distinct American culture that is unique to any culture in the world, that is rooted in market capitalism, that also is something that the Democrat Party cannot function peacefully with. The Democrat Party needs, this is why this business about Bernie Sanders being a socialist is so funny to me. The Democrat Party is a socialist party. The problem with Bernie Sanders, they don't oppose Bernie Sanders' policies, folks. They simply oppose that he's so open and honest about it, he's going to go down in flames. But they don't disagree. If every Democrat could, they would give away free college. If every Democrat could figure out a way to get elected doing it, they would forgive student loans. That's who they are. It's what they believe in. It's how they want power. All right. A couple of sound bites here from President Trump. I told you, I got the sense, Gavin Newsom and others, I think we're over the hump on this economic business with the coronavirus. I think we're over the hump with the stock market. We're not through with the rough edges here. But we're not going to become Wuhan, China, folks. We're not going to become ground zero or the equivalent of it. Here is Trump today in Washington on Capitol Hill. He went over and met with Republicans in the Senate and then met the press afterwards, and we have a couple of sound bites. Here's number one.
I don't think it's a big deal. I would do it. I don't feel that any reason. I feel extremely good. I feel
Wait. Stop the tape. Stop the tape. There's a question here that I didn't see. He's asked by recue that. He's asked by a member of the media, are you going to get tested? Because he supposedly has come in contact with whoever had the virus at the CPAC conference or whatever. Here's what his answer was.
I don't think it's a big deal. I would do it. I don't feel that any reason. I feel extremely good. I feel very good. But I guess it's not a big deal to get tested, and something I would do. But again, spoke to the White House doctor, terrific guy, talented guy. He said he sees no reason to do it. There's no symptoms, no anything. If there were, you people would be the first to know it. You would maybe even tell me about it.
Now, this answer is classic Trump. Permit me to analyze this answer. So you've got some sniveling nose that'll report, Mr. President, you've come in contact with somebody at TPAC that had the virus. Are you going to get tested? Are you going to get tested, Mr. Translation, do you have it? We so hope you get sick. We want you getting sick. We want you getting the virus. It would be perfect. Do you have it? Are you going to get tested? That's the question, okay? So what's Trump's answer? I would. I don't see any reason. I feel extremely good. Feel very good. It's not a big deal to get tested. Something I would do. I would do it. But again, the White House doctor, terrific guy, smart guy, smartest guy I've ever met, talented guy, says he sees no reason for it. Now, some people would, no, I'm not going to get tested, and screw you. I don't need to get tested. And so they would permit the reporting to be the defiant president, despite maybe being at risk, said he wasn't going to get tested. But here Trump says, no, I feel fine. I have no objection to getting tested. I mean, that's what they want. But the White House doctor, greatest guy, smartest guy you've ever met, says, I don't need to be. Trump has a technique. You ask him a question about something he doesn't want to do, he'll always tell you, I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it. I got no problem doing it. But they're telling me I don't have to. They're telling me I shouldn't. And I'll say this. I'll tell you this. I don't mind doing it. But they tell me I shouldn't do it. I don't have to do it. So I'm not going to do it. I feel great. This is a natural inclination. It's a natural way of answering questions that he's got that just, it shuts everything down. The president, then, yeah, there's no, he kept talking. Here's the second half of it.
Just today, I have it inside. Gavin Newsom in California said tremendous. There's an article just came out. I had it inside. I showed it to the senators, and I showed them other articles, too, where governors, Democrat governors, are saying we've done a fantastic job. Gavin Newsom said there's not a thing that he's asked for that we weren't able to get him. Many Democrat governors have said that the task force and the federal government, what we've done has been terrific. And we're prepared, and we're doing a great job with it, and it will go away. Just stay calm. We want to protect our shipping industry, our cruise industry. We want to protect our airline industry, very important. But everybody has to be vigilant and has to be careful. But be calm. It's really working out, and a lot of good things are going to happen.
Be calm. Everything's working out, and he cites Gavin Newsom. And other Democrat governors say we're following through on everything we said we were going to do. You know, when that happens, when the governor of California, been one of the biggest thorns in your side, comes out and praises you to the hilt, what's the media going to do? Turn on the governor of California? And they may at some point. You never know. But this is just the best advice. Just stay calm. It's all going to work out. It's going to end. Everything does at some point. Silent crimes. Silent crimes are those being committed without anybody noticing at the time it happens. There's no sounds of broken glass. There's no car speeding away. Instead, you eventually learn somebody's racked up charges on your credit card. Money has been withdrawn from your bank account. You didn't know it at the time. Silent crimes. They manifest in any number of ways. And when you do learn about them, it's hard to wrap your head around how the hell it could have happened because you were paying attention. Well, if you understand that your online identity is contained within dozens of databases that can be hacked, every one of them vulnerable to a data breach, then you begin to understand the vulnerability. And that silent crime, nothing you can do about it. You don't control the database. What can you do? Well, the best thing you can do is to find out as soon as it has happened. That's when you have a chance to shut it down. That's what LifeLock does. LifeLock's approach to protecting you includes monitoring billions of transactions and early warning that you may have been hacked or part of a database that has been hacked. And then you can get moving on it even faster. And if that happens, they've got a restoration team that does nothing but work with you until it's all fixed. Join LifeLock now. Save up to 25% off your first year if you use my name as the promo code. Just go online to lifelock.com, or you can call them, 800-440-4833. Either way, use my name. Get LifeLock's protection now, particularly if there's an alarm at your house. Now, hopefully it'll never include your home or a break-in occurring there. But if that were to be the case, how do you quickly get information to the police that they need to show up? Well, Simply Safe is likely your best answer. Simply Safe's home security now includes the capabilities of motion detector activated cameras. The video images from those cameras contain credible information to cops. Cops are worried about false alarms. You wouldn't believe the number of people call and claim somebody's breaking in and it's not happening. So if you've got video evidence that there's an actual break-in at the time it's called into the cops, if they can see it, then their response time is immediate. They don't even stop to think if it's a false alarm because the evidence is right there. If you are a victim of a home break-in and you have a Simply Safe system, and if you have the 24/7 monitoring service, that's going to be the best thing you could do when it comes to protecting your home. Simply Safe operates on Wi-Fi and cell signals. There's no wires. That means it's the complexity that's taken out of this system because of the wires is incredible. It installs quickly. It operates effectively. It troubleshoots effectively and immediately. And including the use of these cameras, no wires. It's all Wi-Fi. See the system at simplysafeusa.com. It's where you buy it as well. Now, right now, you'll get an HD camera free. That's a $100 value, $100 value free HD camera when you buy a system at simplysafeusa.com. There's a 2-month money-back guarantee, meaning 2 months to try it. If it doesn't meet your expectations, pack it up, send it back, and they'll refund all your money. Return rate is ridiculously low. You won't do that, but it's an option. SimplySafeUSA.com. Brian in Evans, Georgia. I'm glad you called, sir. Great to have you on the program today. Hello.
Hello. Mega second-time caller. Diddles Rush. Hope you're feeling well.
I'm doing actually very well, sir. Thank you very much.
I think the Democrats may actually be sabotaging both candidates because I think maybe when they get to the election, the super